Hello everybody, my name is Cogline3639, welcome back to another video. Today in this one we'll be doing another Why It Got Banned video, and in this one we'll be covering why Cryston Halqifibrax is banned. Yes, Yu-Gi-Oh's most recent ban card at the time of recording this. So yes, in this video we'll be covering the history of Cryston Halqifibrax in the metagame, why it got banned, and if it should be unbanned, but that should be very obvious considering I'm just recording them when they just banned it, but you know. So yeah, without further ado, let's get straight into the video. But before we can go into the history of Cryston Halqifibrax, we must cover the effect of Cryston Halqifibrax. So it's a water link to machine monster with 1500 attack, and it requires 2 monsters including a tuner monster to go into. And an effect read as follow. If this card is link summon, you can spell summon 1 level 3 or lower tuner from your hand or deck in defense position, but it cannot activate its effects this turn. And then its second effect here is during your opponent's main phase or battle phase, quick effect, banish this card you control, special summon 1 tuner synchro monster from your extra deck. This is treated as a synchro summon, and you can use only use each of the following effects of Halqifibrax once per turn. So yeah, that is the effect of Cryston Halqifibrax. Now let's get into the history of Cryston Halqifibrax. Now on to the history of Cryston Halqifibrax. On March 20th, 2020, Cryston Halqifibrax is released in Dual Overload, and it immediately sees play in multiple different decks with multiple generic tuners. One of the decks, so there was really 3 decks that started abusing it straight away. One of them was Emancipator, because 3 of their main deck monsters end up being tuners, so that helps you go into the Halqifibrax line. The second one was Dragon Link, because Rocket Tracer is a tuner that can help you get into Halq, and then, you know, you can summon it off quick launch and stuff like that, so that's another deck that can use it. And then third is Synchron Outledge starts using this as well. This is before Outledge discovers, you know, the beauties of Floodgates and, you know, trying to do combo stuff more than is trying to do Floodgate stuff. So those are 3 immediate decks that start using Halq straight away. And then the generic tuners that start getting played straight away is Steam the Cloak, Destrudo, and Glow Up Bulb. We'll start off with Steam the Cloak. So basically what this does was a level 3 tuner. So basically you would either summon this off Halq or have this go make Halq. So basically you would just summon out when it's sent from the field to the graveyard, or just sent to the graveyard. You can just special summon a token onto the field, and they can special summon itself out from the graveyard as well by tributing a monster you control. But if you're summoning that way, you can't go into synchro summons except for Black Wings. Now, if you summon it off Halq, you're not locked into that Black Ring synchro lock, so you can make any synchro at that point, then summon out a token. The second one is Glow Up Bulb. Now this one is used because it's a level 1 tuner that basically can special summon itself back from the graveyard. You would summon it off Halq, either go into a link summon or synchro summon with it. Then Glow Up Bulb's effect triggers in graveyard, mill a card from your deck, special summon Glow Up Bulb back out onto the field. Now that was a once per duel effect, but that did not matter because you're getting the special summon out anyways, and that's really all you cared about. And the third one is Destrudo. Now this can't be summoned off Halq, but the reason why it was used because it was at 3 at the time. And as long as you have this card either in your hand or in the graveyard, you can just special summon out for free by just paying half your life points and then going into a Halq line at that point as well. So it's basically just a free special summon of a tuner that can help you go into a Halqifibrax combo. So with that all said, on the April 1st, 2020 ban list, Steam the Cloak, Destrudo, and Glow Up Bulb gets banned on that ban list. So basically just the 3 good tuners that immediately sees play get banned straight away. Now this does not change anything because, again, since there's so many different tuners in the game, people just change the tuners they end up using anyway. So yeah, so it gets released and immediately sees play and then creates a ban list where they ban tuners straight off the bat as well. Then on May 1st, 2020, Link Ross is released in Eternity Code, and this ends up being a very important release because Link Ross Halqifibrax combos become the most powerful combo in the meta. If your meta deck wasn't doing it, it probably wasn't like a tier 1 deck. It was a very, very, very powerful combo deck. Basically, if you don't know what it's doing, Link Cross effect reads, you need to link to or a higher monster to go into, and then you special summon tokens up to the link monster you linked rating was. So if you're usually going link summoning Hulk off for Link Cross, Hulk is a link 2, you would summon 2 tokens off Link Cross, and then Halqifibrax already special summoned you a tuner, so even though the Link Cross tokens can't be used as link material, the tuner would basically just facilitate synchro summons, and that just got out of hand. It was way too insane. That combo was so good. And then Jet, Synchron, and O-Line become the main tuners for this combo as well. They're basically what Steam the Cloak and Glow Up Bulb was doing before they got banned. Jet Synchron is a level 1 tuner. It's also a machine that does come up that can special summon itself from the graveyard, but instead of milling a card like Glow Up Bulb did, you just discard a card instead. And then O-Line was a level 2 tuner machine monster. Again, will come up in just 1 second. Basically doing what Steam Cloak does. If it's sent to the graveyard, you would just special summon a token onto your field. And since these tuners were machine monsters, it also facilitated Auroradon combos as well. You would just use Hulk and like a tuner to go into Auroradon, summon 3 tokens, and then just go off from there. And also Auroradon was very important as well, because Auroradon has an effect where you contribute 2 monsters you control, usually trimming himself in like a token, to summon a Mecha Phantom Beam monster from your deck, usually being O-Line, so being able to summon a tuner from the deck as well. This just came degenerate shit. Now, not everyone did use that Auroradon combo, like Adamantipator's didn't really need that, but it was just a degenerate combo that you're willing to do with these cards. It was just so dominant, especially at the start of the COVID era. Just there was really nothing else for you to do in the meta besides do this combo, because it was just that powerful of a combo. Then on September 14th, 2020, Jet Synchron and O-Lion gets banned. The 2 main tuners usually used for these combos get banned. Doesn't change much again, just like in the last ban list where they banned like the Steam the Cloak and Glow Up Bulb, stuff like that. Does not change much. They just find different tuners to use because there's just so much tuners in the game. You can't really hit all the tuners without doing something. Now, different decks do use different tuners. Something like Dragon Link at the time was a very popular deck. Used the Red Rose and Rocket Tracer. Now, you can't summon Rocket Tracer through Hulk, but Tracer was a tuner itself. Getting to Hulk was nice. But Red Rose was used. Now, this is a card that will become very popular. Now, this is only popular in Dragon Link right now because Red Rose Dragon does not have its support yet, and we will get to the support in a couple minutes here, but this is not with the new support. This is just with like the White Rose, and that's really it. But Dragon Link do use these tuners just to facilitate Halqifibrax. Infernoble Knights use Ginba and or Vylon tuners in their deck. Now, Ginba was a warrior monster, level 2 tuner, usually being able to get off a Soul Day. You would just send 2 equip spells to the graveyard. Simba, Ginba, Ginba and a Soul Day go into Cryston Halqifibrax. And then Vylon stuff, you can also summon either Vylon Sphere or Vylon Cube. Now, Sphere was just a level 1. If it's sent from the field to the graveyard, you can just equip it to a monster you control. Then you can, while it's equipped, send itself to equip a equip spell from the graveyard, which again was very important for Infernoble Knight. And Vylon Cube was also used as well as a level 3 tuner. Summon it off Hulk, use a Link Cross token, and the Vylon Cube go into a Herald of the Arclight. Vylon Cube effect in graveyard would search any equip spell from the deck, which was absolutely insane, especially for the Infernoble Knight deck. And then if you're still trying to do your Auroradon combos, Despot 001 was also a nice tuner because it was just special summon itself. Machine and Hulk, they're both being machines, go to Auroradon, summon 3 tokens. Despot effect in graveyard would special summon itself back out because Despot, if there's 2 or more machine monsters that summon at the same time, you special summon itself from the graveyard. Auroradon obviously does that. So yeah, Jet Synchron and O-Line gets banned in the September 14th, 2020 ban list. Doesn't really change much. People just change up the tuners they are using instead. Then on December 15th, 2020, Link Ross finally gets banned, and that finally solves the Link Ross Halqifibrax combo meta. Falls out of format. Basically, for the next couple of formats, top decks don't really use / need Halqifibrax anymore. So Halq actually somewhat falls out of favor. And that's really because the top decks at the time don't play Halq or don't really need Halq. Like in the December 2020 to the March 2021 format, the top 3 decks were Drytron, Virtual World, and Outledge, and none of those decks didn't need Halq. Virtual World would get locked into Synchro Summons straight away, so there was really no point of playing Halq. Drytrons, there really was no combo for them to get to Halq, and so there was no reason to play Halq. And then Outledge was more stunny, what Outledge is known for now, playing more of the floodgates and stuff like that. So there was no point of Outledge playing Halq anymore because it was no longer the combo heavy deck as I explained before. It's more now of the heavy trap deck playing floodgates and stuff like that. In the March 2021 to the July 2021 format, Dragon Link is really the only deck that uses Halq, and it's not because Halq was, getting abused. It's more just so it can link climb, and that's what a lot of this happened in this year. Basically, what Halq was used for was just for link climbing purposes. A lot of the popular option was you would go Halqifibrax, summon an Effect Veiler from your deck, then go into a Selene. Selene would summon back Veiler back from the graveyard, go into an access code play. So that's more what Halq was getting used for, was more to link climb than it was to, do degenerate bullshit with. And that's what Dragon Link basically was using it for. Now, not to mention they might sometimes need Halq to summon out a tune they desperately need, but most of the times they used it just to get into link climbing purposes. And then from July 2021 to the January 2022 format, again, more just rogue, more just for link climbing purposes. Now, Sword Soul does get released in October of 2021, but I'm not going to cover that portion of Sword Soul just yet. I feel like from October 2021 to January 2022, Sword Soul was more focused on trying to get Protoss out and stun your opponent more than trying to do Halqifibrax combos. Now, Sword Soul does eventually get to the Halqifibrax combo, which we'll get to in just 1 second, but more in this time, it's more used just so it can Protoss lock than it is to get Halq out. So yeah, in this next, basically all the 2021 calendar year, Halq is more used as an extender to link climb than it is to do degenerate shit. So it does avoid a couple of ban lists, even though some people do cry out that Halq needs to get banned. It just was not played enough where Halq, they just didn't see Halq as that much of a. Then on January 28th, 2022, Adventure and Punk is released in Grand Creators. And then around the same time, the ban list gets released on February 7th, 2022. This ban list contained Protoss getting banned, Snow going to 1, and E-Telly going to 3. And this, with all this together, Halqifibrax finally comes back into the format with multiple different decks taking advantage of it. One of the decks being Sword Soul, as I mentioned in the last slide, being able, since Protoss was now banned, they don't really need to go into that play anymore. Now they would go into Halqifibrax, summon out Despot from the graveyard, go into Auroradon play, summon tokens, get Despot back onto the field, and then just do combos from there. Very degenerate stuff that you were doing with Halq. Another deck that was getting used and was very popular was Base. Now, it is an acronym, but I forget the acronym, so I'm not going to try to remember it. Basically, what this deck was trying to do was use the Adventure line plus E-Telly being at 3 to basically get into Baron play, Baron go into Yazi, Baron pop the Yazi and go off from there. You summon either like a Mari or a Sword Soul guy that you could be playing as well. Red Rose was very much abused in that deck as well because it just got its new support in Burst of Destiny with Basil Rose Shoot and Rox Rose being in that new support, being able, so when you synchro summon off Red Rose, you would summon Rox Rose would as you Basil Rose, and that being able just to special summon one of the Rose Dragons back from the graveyard was nice. So very much a problematic card. And then Dragon Link was also using it as well because you would go like Red Rose and like the Adventure Link token, go into a Shooting Riser. Shooting Riser would dump Snow to the graveyard because Snow was legal once again. And then you would use your Shooting Riser to go into like a Striker Dragon and then do just Dragon Link plays from there. So yeah, with the adventure stuff, plus utility being at 3 because Punk just got released and they wanted to support the Punk engine, very much just creates Hulk coming back into the format and causing degenerate shit to happen in that format. Then on May 17th, 2022, Rorodon, Verte Anaconda, and Meow Meow Mew gets banned, and then Halqifibrax, Red Rose Dragon, Shooting Riser Dragon, and Jet Synchron all go to 1 on that list. Very, very big ban list that was kind of focusing around trying to hit the Halqifibrax line. Auroradon gets banned in this list because Halqifibrax was enabling that combo, and they did not want that combo to exist. So Auroradon gets banned. Verte gets banned. Now this is important because this turned off the Scythe lock that was happening a lot, because with Verte gone, now DPE is way less likely to go into, and that makes Halqifibrax's second effect come up. So basically you would still go into Halqifibrax and get a Dagda onto the field to set Scythe, and then during your opponent's turn, you would activate Halqifibrax to summon TG Wonder Magician. TG Wonder Magician would pop the Scythe. Scythe effect trigger in graveyard, special summon himself out, trigger effect on field, chain TG Wonder, go into a Baronade Flirt, and all of a sudden now you have an Omni Negate, plus your opponent is locked out from the extra deck as well. One of the few times Halqifibrax's second effect comes up as well. And then Meow Meow Mew gets banned. Now I included this because this was one of the very few decks that were not using the Halqifibrax combo. With this getting banned, just basically made it where for the next list, if you weren't playing Hulk, your deck wasn't really that great anymore. Hulk gets limited. Now this is not that impactful because a lot of people were playing Hulk at 1. There were some decks that were playing Hulk at 2, most notably being based, but usually this hit didn't do anything. Red Rose Dragon gaining limited basically made it where you had to summon it off Hulk instead of just hard drawing it and then just using it as your normal summon. Shooting Riser Dragon here. Now this is one of the most worthless limitations in Yu-Gi-Oh's history. Everyone at the time was playing Shooting Riser at 1, but I guess they wanted to hit the Halqifibrax combo and they thought limiting Shooting Riser would do something. Did literally nothing. Everyone was playing it at 1 anyway, so limiting it did literally nothing. And Jet Synchron comes to 1. Now this is interesting because it was a ban card that ends up going to 1. Now some people try to do Jet Synchron plays with Halqifibrax at the beginning of this format, but basically just falls out for something like the Red Rose package or something like that instead. So with all this said, at NA Nationals, Hulk still gets abused just as much. Even if they don't have the Auroradon stuff, even if you don't, Red Rose is limited and all this stuff, it still gets abused to all hell at the North American Nationals, and it features in a lot of the topping decks at that. Dragon Link being one of those decks, using Hulk to get into Shooting Riser plays, and then sending Snow to the graveyard still. Just very degenerate shit. Base was basically dead at this point, but there were still some players trying to use it as well. But it was more a lot of people trying to go into the Hulk play, make a Dagda, and then still trying to Scythe lock them, plus getting the Baron on field as well. So yeah, even with this big-ass ban list, Halqifibrax still gets abused in this next coming format going into the NA Nationals, and still gets a lot of topping, it still features in a lot of topping decks at that national. Then on August 3rd, 2022, Sprite and Tearlament gets released in Power of the Element, and Halqifibrax finally sees less play as Sprite and Tear Elements start taking over the format. Now that the new decks are more powerful than their counterparts we're doing in the NA National season, basically just start Sprite and Tear Elements start dominating the format. Now Hulk still get used in those decks, but they're no longer an important combo piece in those decks. A lot of decks can play their game without Hulk, but still use Hulk as just more of like, okay, I can still do something with Hulk, we can make Hulk. But more importantly, it sees less play in this time, just because the topping decks don't really need it anymore. Sprite and Tear Element can still do their plays without Hulk. So yeah, finally sees less play in this. Even though it's seeing less play, on October 2022, Halqifibrax gets banned on the ban list, with Steam the Cloak and O-Line going to 1, and then Shooting Riser going back to 3. Even though it's seeing less play because of the Tear Element and Sprite still dominating the format at this point, Konami basically sees it as, okay, this is a really much of a problem. Even though it's not seeing that much play right now, doesn't mean it's going to see more play in the future. So we should get rid of this card right now. And rightly so. Halqifibrax gets banned and gets punished for its NA national season format. And they're like, yeah, no more Hulk for you. Steam the Cloak and O-Line go to 1 because Hulk is no longer legal, especially Auroradon no longer being legal. O-Line ain't really that great anymore. Steam Cloak could be okay, but still isn't probably that great with Hulk now being banned. And then Choose New Riser goes to 3 because it was one of the most worthless limitations in Yu-Gi-Oh's history. So it goes back to 3 where it properly needs to be. Now, usually I would go into the combo portion of the video with this, but here's the thing with Hulk. It was used in so many decks. We would be here for like 30 minutes if I try to show you Halqifibrax with so many different decks. Because in a lot of the decks, Halqifibrax gets used for different things. So there really isn't any point of showing you a combo with Hulk just because there's so many decks that can use Hulk in many different ways. I just don't want to show you a combo for that. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into why Cryston Halqifibrax got banned. So why did Cryston Halqifibrax get banned? Multiple reasons. One, it was very, very generic. The only like hard restriction to this was you just had to use a tuner to go into its link summon. Besides that, this was very, very generic. And that tuner, you know, requiring a tuner to go into was not hard to do. That was very, very easy to do for a lot of decks. So it being very generic was insane. Just basically making it where any deck can basically play it as long as you can get a tuner onto the field. Second reason, it special summons from the deck. That is absolutely insane. Being able to special summon any card from or any tuner from the deck is absolutely insane. But being able to special summon a tuner from the deck is also insane because it not only helps you go into link climbing because it doesn't restrict you in any ways, but it can help also get you into synchro summonings as well. So very, very insane for that reason as well. And then Halqifibrax just enabled a lot of crazy end boards. If Hulk got to resolve, basically the player that resolved Hulk can basically do whatever they want with the card, either go into like a link summon or go into synchro summoning boards, and it was just so absolutely insane. So yeah, those are multiple reasons why Hulk got banned. It was generic, it can special summon from the deck, and it doesn't really lock you into anything, or well, it doesn't lock you into anything. So it just made it where you're basically able to do anything with the card you special summon, and then it just enabled crazy end boards as well. Now let's get into if this card can be unbanned. So, can Cryston Halqifibrax get unbanned? Fuck no. No. Now, one, at the time of this recording, it just got banned, so there would be no point to unban it. But two, no, this should never come off. It's a generic link 2 that is very easy to make, special summons from the deck, and it does not lock you into anything. Yes, absolutely not. Halqifibrax cannot come off anytime soon. This card is just so much of a problem, and it makes sense why a lot of people did want this card to get banned. So yeah, that's it for the video. I hope you guys did enjoy the video. If you did, leave a like and subscribe for more content on the channel, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.